Okay.
All right.
So, good morning, good afternoon. It's Yaakov, holach, ldarko. In Chabad, Motzoi Simchas Torah, they would bang on the table and they would say, Yaakov, holach, ldarko. Yaakov, or the vernacular in English, Jack hit the road. Yaakov is the Yehudi, the Yid. It's time to go back into the workplace, into the world. The Rebbe extended the Yaakov holach ldarko to Motzoi Shabbos Bereishis because until Motzoi Shabbos Bereishis, it still feels Tishrei dik, more Tishrei still in the air. One year the Rebbe spoke about Yaakov holach ldarko, Noach, and Lech Lecha, etc., etc. But what's the Nekuda? The Nekuda is that all the Giluyim, in Chabad we use a word, Giluyim, revelations. All the great experiences, awesome experiences, happy experiences of Chodesh Tishrei need to be realized b'darkoi. And the emphasis, the kvetch, in the words Yaakov holach, but ldarko, it doesn't say Yaakov holach baderech, because Yaakov holach baderech would imply a derech of whatever the derech is, not necessarily it's a Jewish derech, a Chassidish derech, etc., etc. The Torah says Yaakov holach ldarko. Yaakov went on the road, darkoi, his derech. He brought along the derech that he picked up during the month of Tishrei, and it was on that path and with that chayas and energy that he went into the world, which is a very important lesson for us. And practically, what does this mean? Practically, what this means is that Chassidim, the song that we sing, Chabad sings Tiku b'chodesh shofar, that thing, da. Well, when was that song that Niggin sang? It wasn't sang during Tishrei. It was sung when they returned, when Chassidim returned from Lubavitch. And they came back to Kremichuk and to Nevel and to Rostov and to Nikolaev, to wherever they lived. And they were asked, what mimer did the Rebbe say? So the Chassidim would sing the sing-song and say, the Rebbe said a mimer, Rosh Hashanah, with the Divra Maschil, the opening, Tiku b'chodesh shofar, or Shuva Yisrael Hashem Elokecha. So that became kind of the Tishrei Chabad niggin to represent what we're talking about. In simple English, now is the time to unpack. We gathered during Tishrei. Let's recap and not forget what we had. Reish Hashanah is Kabbalah soil, Malchus, making Hashem the king and making Hashem want to be our king, coronation of the king. Yom Kippur, the Yom HaKodesh, is Tshuva, Slicha, V'Kapara, and all that. Achas Bashana, Yechida, Ne'ilah. Sukkot is Man Simchoseinu, bringing everyone into a sukkah, sitting together, because all Yidden are together in one. And finally, Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah is the Achas Bashana, where you bring only Par Echad, Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem, Yisrael, Umalki B'chidoi, because the Jews and Hashem are the only ones in the room. It's like, when you're saying goodbye to your dear son or your dear daughter or your dear parent, and, it's a private moment. So Shmini Atzeres is the klita, it says in Svarim. The word Atzeres has several meanings. To prevent yourself from malacha, la'atzor me'asiyat malacha, right? But also, Atzeres means to absorb. Everything that we got, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, it needs to be absorbed. So, and then we have the Minhag Yisrael of Simchas Torah, dancing with the Torah and being Mesameach with the Torah, and as it says in Chassidus and the previous Rebbe and other Maimorim, we don't dance with an open Torah showing, we don't dance with an open Torah showing that we know how to learn this, and I know this, in this section, and Mel, I'm happy with the Chiddush I made in Bava Kama, or I'm happy with the inside of the Maimer that I have. No, everyone dances with a clothes, Sefer Torah. The word for the word in Yiddish is a mentale. A mantle means a coat, a parochas. A mentale is like the Yiddish, cutesy of the word mental. Mentale, meaning we dance with a clothes Sefer Torah that has its coat, its parochas on it. And that's what we're Mesameach with. And that's a Minhag Yisrael and the power of that day. So, all of that we gathered throughout the month of Tishrei, and now we're back to the real world. And what I noticed, what I thought about this year is that what comes right after Shabbos Bereishis, I said in the beginnings before that Shabbos Bereishis is still, the week of Shabbos Bereishis is still a continuation of Tishrei. Once we're going to Parshas Noach, we're going into the world, and that's why the Rebbe emphasized Yaakov, holach, ldarko. Jack hit the road. Yid, Yehudi. You have to go into the world and bring your derech of avodas Hashem into the world. That starts really Parshas Noach. What's Noach all about this week? The flood. What does the Alter Rebbe say in Torah Oyer? And it's a must read, a must learn actually. The Tirdas HaParnosa, the Mayim Rabim. Are the Tirdas HaParnosa, and what does it say? In Tanakh, Mayim Rabim leyuchel lechabes ava. The great abundant waters cannot extinguish, cannot obliterate the ava, the love that one has for Hashem. But nevertheless, it's Tirdas HaParnosa. Yeah, look, Isser would love to be in the Shia. He needs to, he needs to be on the road sometimes for Parnosa. That's it. That's called Tirdas HaParnosa. Even if you get your paycheck on time, and Baruch Hashem, if you get a good paycheck and all that, it's still Tirdas HaParnosa. I'm waiting for books to come, and I have to deal with truckers, and I have to deal with docks and forklifts, and who's going to do it, and who's not going to do it. And I call a guy who's a millionaire here, who has a dock here 5 blocks away, and I say, do me a favor, let the trucking company just put the books on the dock. My van will be there. I'll take him off. I'm not asking anything of you. He was kind enough, this millionaire, to answer me. So I'm thanking him for even answering me. He says, I'm sorry, I have to say no. I've done it for people over the years, and I got messed up, and it's a big balagan, and I can't do it. And I respect him. But, so, Tirdas HaParnosa. Right? Instead of going, you have to schlep now to East New York, where I don't want to say, I have to go deep into the heart of Heartland. We'll leave it at that, and deal, and I'm just saying, it's a good thing, Baruch Hashem. It's a good thing, but it's a tirda. It's anxiety. It's bother. I want to sit and write, I want to sit and teach, I want to sit and daven. No. And so Tirdas HaParnosa, the Alter Rebbe says in this week's Torah Oyer, I'm telling you, it's like the mimer for Balabatim, for us, for working people, even if we're retired or half retired, but is this mimer this week. It really, in each and every one of your shuls, you should learn the mimer, teach the mimer, because they won't stop thanking you. It's not a long mimer. Even if you take out one section over there, that the Alter Rebbe talks about directly, the Tirdas HaParnosa, I believe anyone will be fascinated and really help them. So, look at this. When do we have this mimer, this Tirdas HaParnosa? Right after Tishrei. Which is interesting. In other words, it's polar opposites. Here we are on a high with Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Shmini Atzeret, Simchas Torah. We're flying high. Some of us think that we actually have God. We got, we're so holy. We davened for so many hours. We cried so many times. And we were dancing. It's all true. But by Chassidim, especially Chabad Chassidim, we knew that our avodah compared to what we can do and should do and what the truth is pittance, is garnished. Or as we say in good old Yiddish, Hungarian Yiddish, gornisht. It's a gornisht. I got up 4 a.m. to do kapparas. Wow. We'll give you a big, big star. You're such a great Jew. Because you sleep every day till 8, 9 o'clock, and now you got up at 4 a.m. You deserve a big piece of Shar Habar and Levyosin. It's ridiculous. Pirkei Avos says, L'kach Tzarta. The norm is you should get up 4 a.m. to serve Hashem. The fact that you don't is your avodah. Anyway, no musar. Chassidus, this is no musar time. But the point is, Hillel, that when do we confront the Mayim Rabim? Right after Shabbos Bereshis. So it's like, they talk about the what's it called, the highs and the lows, the mood swings, right? Bipolar and everything else. You go from being elated and ecstatic and you fall ecstatic and you fall all the way down. In a way, we had this gewaldige yontiv in every way, and Issa said how beautiful it was in Eretz Yisrael, the weather and all that, that only adds to the beauty. And Eretz HaKodesh, what more could there be? And right now we'll go back, and Velvel has to again face the surgeries and face the operating room, and I'm sure you did it, Velvel, during Tishrei too. But you had a little respite on the Yom Tov, and people complain here in America, and I assume maybe in Eretz Yisrael too, that this type of kfiyas that we had of the Yom Tov for business, it's terrible. It hacks you right in the middle, right? We have 2 days, so right in the middle, you're in the middle of the work week, boom, cut. 2 days. When it's in a weekend, but you got till the end of the week, or close to the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. But if you think about it, it's the biggest favor the Eibusha did for us. The Eibusha forces us to rest, to respite, to daven, to learn, to be with family. It's the biggest favor that he does for you. Otherwise, you're on go the whole time. So, on one hand, it's Tirdas HaParnasim week. It's Tirdas HaParnasim week. Everyone look at Avi's. I like Avi's. Avi's back. We welcome you, Avi. We love you. Anyway, so the Nakuda is that we take the Giluyim of Chodesh Tishrei, the great oil that we had from Chodesh Tishrei, and we bring it in to Avi. Mute yourself, please. Avi, mute yourself, please. Thank you. Now, I want to so that's an overall view of where we are. Okay, in a business, you need to know, where am I today? Okay. The cheshbon you do once a year, you're accounting, the budget. But nevertheless, you need to know every day where you are, where you want to be, where you're going, etc. So listen, what happened during Chodesh Tishrei? I'll give you a little bit of what happened Tishrei here in Crown Heights by the Rebbe, because that's what Chassidim did. I'm a Lubavitcher Chassid, at least I want to be one. So I feel indebted to share with you a little bit of what was. So I was primarily in Borough Park. I was not in Crown Heights, but I knew what was happening in Crown Heights, and my family was there, and so I'm aware. And I'll tell you what happened. So the 770 I never saw it so packed. Every year, I'm telling you, and I'm not exaggerating, every year it gets more and more full. So much so that they put up a tent on the service lane. The street was closed outside of 770, a very long tent, because there isn't enough room inside. Now, they did this last few years, but it gets better and bigger, and now they're raising money for it. And they have full minyanim and learning and lectures. Outside, there's always food. There's people providing, raising funds and bringing truckloads of food for everyone. So that's the Gashmias of. I went into 770, I forget, in the early part of Tishrei, and I could just barely get into the doors and to a bench, and I davened Ma'ariv there, one tefillah. It was maybe during the Aseret Yemei Tshuva. I would say that probably most of the guests that come to Crown Heights are from Eretz Yisrael. There are people from France and from Brazil and from other places, but I would say most are Eretz Yisrael and Bacharim. Bacharim and girls upstairs on the woman's side. This year, more adults came with their children as well, because it's a Shnas Hakhel, and which we didn't speak about, and I want to talk about it throughout the upcoming months a little more. But the Rebbe coined a new idea and made a new idea. According to the Torah, when is Hakhel? The year after Shemitah, right? On Sukkot. Okay? Not the whole year. That it came along the Lubavitcher Rebbe either in the late 70s, I think, yeah. And he said, we let's extend the concept of Hakhel, not just for the Yom Tov of Sukkot, to gather people together on Sukkot and hear words of Torah and inspiration, men with men, women with women, and children with children, but also Shnas Hakhel. The whole year becomes a year of gathering. That was a big chiddush, and the Rebbe, because it was a chiddush, he spent so much time on showing sources for his innovation and many other things, and it broke through. It broke through in Lubavitch. I'm not going to say that Eish Kodesh and Baviv and the Grosh Shul are doing Hakhel next month or this month. They're not. Okay? But a friend of mine just sent me an article, and it's not a great example, but nevertheless, from a libertarian female clergyman somewhere in the United States, who came across an article or a write-up that her local Chabad Shliach is making something called a Hakhel, and she had no idea what Hakhel is because they're so learned and so knowledgeable. So she went and asked, what is Hakhel? And the Chabad rabbi told her what Hakhel is, and then she was so impacted and she liked it. She spoke to her congregants that this is a year of Hakhel and we need to do Hakhel gatherings, etc. Now, it's not who said it, and it's not, you understand, it's the Nakuda that slowly things will rub off. I'll give you an example, things that the Rebbe wanted for Klal Yisrael. This whole idea of Mashiach. Klal Yisrael believes in Mashiach. You wanted the Yud Gimel Ikrim. You need the Lubavitcher Rebbe to tell you about Mashiach. The answer is of course not, and of course yes. What do I mean? Of course we believed it, but it was, when did we speak about Mashiach? When a darshan, when a rabbi came to a shul in Branovich or in Brisk, and he gave a drasha Shabbos, and he would end his drasha, Uvalat Tzion Goel. Right? Which we say every day. And Mashiach will come to Tzion, to Yerushalayim, it will redeem us. In other words, it was an afterthought as a closing statement to a drasha, whether it's a Musar drasha or a Chassidish drasha or a Torah shir, and it was kind of a cutesy way of this idea of making Mashiach a central and integral theme of Yiddishkeit, of Torah, that everything should be oriented to that, was a chiddush of this Rebbe more than his 6 predecessors, completely. And so slowly, we see more and more people thinking this way. There are many more examples. In fact, there's someone here in Borough Park who was a former Satmar, and he still looks like a Satmar, and but he's really, probably a Chabadnik at heart. And he says, I want you to write a book about all the things that all the other Hasidic Rebbes and Hasidim do that they took from Chabad. And just document. He says, I'll help you. I'll give you details of this Hasidus and that Hasidus that are doing things today. They took it from the Rebbe in particular. The point I'm making is that the Rebbe, when he said Shnas Hakhel, in the beginning it's like, oh, this is a Lubavitch thing. I'll give you another example. Dancing in the street, right? So I'm telling you about what happened in Tishrei. Simchas Beis HaSheva and Kranites now is no longer just a Lubavitch thing. I met people here in Shul, no connection to Chabad, and they tell me, I was up all night till 6 a.m. dancing on Kranites. And I look at him, what? I didn't do it. I slept in a bed. He says, yeah. He says, the only place where Yom Tov is real, that during Chol Hamoed, is the streets of Kranites. You bring the Simcha into the streets. And I feel good just being there. Straight guy, normal guy, family guy, chassid, whatever. And it hit me how the Rebbe's call for making Simchas Beis HaSheva in the streets is becoming more and more accepted by the establishment. And if you think only chassidim come, Litvaks come too. Everyone comes. That's the whole idea. So the Rebbe brought this idea of Shnas Hakhel to Klal Yisrael, and the idea is to gather together people. So, because of that, a lot of parents came from Eretz Yisrael, and it cost them a pretty penny to not only come themselves, but bring their family or part of the family, 1 child, 2 children, 4 children, etc., wives. So that's why 770 was even more packed this year than an ordinary year because of Hakhel. Naturally, there's a great amount of Hasidim that come, particularly from some places in Eretz Yisrael, Tzfas, that are very much Yechi oriented. They're into this Yechi, and it's the way I see it. Every time I observe it, I see it as, some of them don't even know what they're saying really, what they're doing. It's become like a shtick. And it reminds me, the Baba Rav that I daven at sometimes here in Borough Park, a half a block away, way in the beginning, when after Gimel Tammuz and the Mashiachistim began with their thing, and at that time it bothered a lot of us really, strongly and all that. And he said to me, it's not a big deal. It says in the Tshuvas in the Tshuvas, Meshuga lo yisa davar. It's an expression, not in the neck that they're Meshug. They're obsessed. Let's use the word in English. They're obsessed about things. That's it. It's an obsession. That's it. Every Yid's allowed to have an obsession. And I'll tell you something. And I say this as not a Mashiachist, that if not for these fellows, Crown Heights would be quiet. The whole Crown Heights, what's become today, every other week, you have 1,000 people coming. Next week, the college students from all over are coming for a Shabbaton, 1,000 kids. In 3 weeks is the Kiddush HaShluchim, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. The next few weeks, this Shabbaton. No one would have believed after Gimel Tammuz that this would be. Everyone thought there's going to be an exodus, your real estate will drop, etc. They the Mashiachistim, I would say, are solely responsible for keeping the drive alive. You know, an honest person has to be honest, and you have to step back. Now, does that mean to say that I should say Yechi and I should be the... That's a different story. That's a different story. But that energy has its value. Nevertheless, when you come into 770, and if you're bothered by that energy, you don't want to be there. Because it's like, if what's heard, Chaim Dalfin davening Maitiv in 770 is not heard. But dancing up and down and looking at a chair and all that is heard and felt. It's palpable, I'm telling you. When I go in there, you have to understand, I observe, I look around, I smell, I watch, and it's incredible how so many people are, have created this imagination, and they live with the imagination, and they're doing Torah and mitzvahs. They're helping Yidden, they're davening and learning, they're doing chesed. So I feel that it's important to look at the positives and those things that are negative. Everyone understands, I don't have to tell you. So definitely there was that energy in 770. That was during Seres Yemei Tshuva. And one more point, I'll let you comment if you wish or ask. Moshe wanted to ask something, say something. Then came, so I was in Florida for the first 2 days to be with my family a little bit. And I had made my ticket originally to come back after Yom Tov. But in the middle I decided it's a Shnas Hakhel, I'm going to change, pay the extra fee, and come back for Chalamoid, Shabbos Chalamoid, and the Shabbos and Simchas Torah. Well, Hashem has a great sense of humor, and the first night I'm back, and I'm sleeping in my saggy bed, and I wake up with back issues and leg issues, and I'm a mess. And it's hard to walk, and I can't go. I can't go. So I don't go for Shabbos Chalamoid, and now Sunday, and my best friend was here from Australia, my best cover, we correspond 10 times a day on WhatsApp, so I really wanted to spend time with him. He's a mashpia in Melbourne, the Shiva Gedola, and no one had room. My own relatives, no one has a couch. So packed. So finally, someone told me about a friend where he was staying near Utica Avenue. And I said to myself, I won't be able to walk from there. I was going to stay with my father, but I have to walk down 3 flights of steps. Bottom line is, I didn't go. So I ended up staying in Borough Park. So you would think, and myself, because my wife and daughter were in Florida. Wow, you're by yourself. Where are you going to eat? I'm sure I'll get many invitations. And I got so many invitations, I didn't take most invitations because you got to spend 2-3 hours. I don't have 2-3 hours to hang out and entertain you. I entertain you 7:30 to 8 in the morning. But Simchas Torah, the second year, Baruch Hashem, I make a minyan. 7:30 a.m., Shachris, and we finish 10 to 10, 5 to 10. The minyan starts 10, the regular minyan. Everything. And I'm the guy by the minyan, it's my minyan, basically. I call the shots in that minyan. Everyone knows. And I get aliyah, and I give others aliyah, and beautiful. And we sing, and we do. And then I make kiddush on, my tradition has been for 40 years on a glass of scotch. And we sit in the Fabrenga a little bit, 4 or 5 hours, from 10 till 3 o'clock. I just am a free bird. I don't have to listen to auctions. I don't have to bend when they tell me. And people come. Now I want to tell you, it's amazing. Between Simchas Torah night and Simchas Torah day, all kinds of people, Litvaks and Chassidim, and a lot of them read different things, saw me on YouTube and all that, and they ask me this, and they want to say this, and one wants a bracha for a shidduch. I'm telling you, I said, now I know why I had to be in Borough Park on Simchas Torah. as much as I would be with the Hasidim in Crown Heights and my best friend and all that, being here and attending to, there's so many different people that came to talk to me and Fabring, and we said l'chaim, and we wished each other brachas. It's gewaldig. So that's a little bit about the Tishrei here, and in 770, and I just wanted to share it with you. Moshe.
Well, all right, so I had a question earlier, but I want to ask a question first.
Yeah.
About what you just said. So you daven first, everything, and then you were able to farbrang from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3?
Yeah, and I did. And I could have farbrang till 10 to 6, till mincha. It's just that at a certain point you run out of gas, and there's a breaking point. That's what you need to know when you say l'chaim. You need to know the breaking point. And Baruch Hashem, the person, they only had vodka, so like a little scotch. So one fellow brought from his house scotch. The scotch was being used up because other chevra came along and they wanted, and I gave them some scotch. So the guy comes in at 10:30 or 11, he had a good sleep, and he sees his bottle of scotch on the table, and he takes it away. It was the best thing, because that was it. That was it. The breaking point. So I was freilach, but not cuckoo, and the job was accomplished. Go ahead.
I'm curious, where did you farbrang? Where did you...
So in our shul, they have the women's section, they have like a foldable door. So first we started in the sukkah. Then a second meeting came into the sukkah and they said, I'm sorry, you could farbrang, but we have to daven here. I said, no problem. I'll farbrang, we'll farbrang us chevra, and you could, but I didn't want to really disturb him, so we went into the women's section, we closed it, and there in the back. And it was fine. And I really thank the administration because they don't give me a hard time. In fact, they provided food for the Kiddush Farbrengen. They gave food that they usually, for their Kiddush after that they do in their whole program. They gave some of it to us, so it was very nice. Yeah. What else?
Hey, what is this?
Beis Menachem on 16th Avenue, with the former Belzer Shul. No, the former Belzer Shul on 16th between 48th and 49th. Used to be Bells 20 years. When you were growing up, it was Bells. Yes, Hillel.
I just wanted to ask, when you're talking about Shnas Hakhel, that when Shlomo Melech established the Beis Hamikdash, he created a Yom Tov for an additional 7 days, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the Hasidus, they write about how that was sort of a prelude to Mashiach sort of idea, and that will be restored
right
in the time of Mashiach.
Right, but
was that part of the kind of thinking behind the idea of Shnas Hakhel?
I hear you in the Kuda. I have to look that up. I don't want to, and believe that I will, because it's an important thing. I hear exactly. I think it is. But I want to check it. But I want to tell you, Hillel, since you mentioned it, 1 second. I want to tell you that although Shlomo Melech created it, it didn't continue the thousands of years later because the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. It was the Rebbe who brought it back to the table. Yes, Moshe.
Yeah, the question I just want to... Sorry, the question I wanted to ask earlier...
Yeah.
...was a classic question, and it has to do with her being in Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah.
Having all of Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah wrapped up in one day, 24 hours. See, because when you were speaking before, this is something I thought a lot about. When you were speaking before, describing Shmini Atzeres as as that special day of
absorbing, yeah.
Then you made a distinction, and the next day, Simchas Torah.
Yes.
Now, I know from being here many years, one of the things I've struggled with is how to take both those concepts and put them in one that happened at the same time. Meaning the same day.
I know. I had that feeling, by the way, when I was in Eretz Yisrael once, that Shmini Atzeres was Torah. You got a lot more work, but you're in Eretz Yisrael. That's why you're in Eretz Yisrael. You have the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael to help you. But Yes, we have 2 days to kind of facilitate the Yom Tov. It's easier. I agree.
Moshe, I think next year we have to daven the Seeking and then for Brang the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's to me, it's the greatest thing. You want to feel just like in Yom Kippur. You're going to shul, you're in shul all day. You're like giving yourself over to Hashem that way. I want to feel that way with Simcha on Simchas Torah. So it's like, that's it. Don't. I have my chiyuvim. We have to, do the akafis and do kol ha'ne'arim and all that. No problem. We'll get it done. And then and I'll tell you something. I didn't think of doing it, but people called me the week before, Rabbi Dolphin, are you making the minyan? And one guy wouldn't let me go. I said, I don't know. I might be in Kronites. And he called me 2 days later and sent me a message. And it's the only time he comes to Beis Menachem is on Simchas Torah. It started because his father-in-law davens there, and he schlepped him last year to help make the minyan because we didn't know if we would have 10 people. And this year we had already 15 people. And I bet you if I continue next year and the year after, if Chas v'Shalom Mashiach doesn't come, it'll go to 20 and 25 because it's gewaldic. I don't know how it's by you guys in Eish Kodesh and in Boston, this and that, but things drag on and drag on and drag on. I don't know. Listen, a lot of people like that. They like it. The truth is, before I started this, I did participate, and I was more of the chevra in my shul. So, here, the regular guys, most of the guys, my chaverim from the shul, are busy, davening and getting and everything else. So but whatever. Anyway, who wanted to say something? Yes.
Just one last thing about one of the unique things about being in Israel.
Yeah.
Is that we have a couple of shnios.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens all over Eretz Yisrael in a variety of communities. And one of the places I think we've spoken about this, but one of the places that I like to go, if I'm taking the family and children. Hebron.
Yeah. I was there one time. It was unbelievable. Before we go, we're starting Monday again. Now, you guys changed the clock, so I think it's going to be 2 o'clock your time, right? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock my time is going to be 2 because you fall back 6 hours, right? The difference between...
When do you guys change the clock?
A week later.
Yeah, so I guess it'll be correct. 6.
Okay. So, now Moshe, you're getting probably the delivery of the Svarim tonight or something, or tomorrow?
Oh, most likely tomorrow.
Okay, whatever, but okay, so Chevra, the sefer we're going to use to learn is called Maneh Chochem. I sent 10 of them over to Moshe. Be in touch with him about it, yes?
Yeah, as soon as I have them, I'll put it on the group.
Okay, good. And
I think you should check when your daylight savings begins, because I looked it up, but I thought it said it was the same. It was also changing over in the United States tomorrow.
No. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. November 5. It's a week. It's not this next month of Shabbos.
Okay, could be wrong.
Anyone know otherwise? No, I know. That's the reason I wrote to you guys earlier that one more week of this, 8 o'clock, because it's now going down the Nates. I can't get out of shul. I have, so it's just so.
So by us next week will be 2 o'clock Israel time.
You tell me. I believe so, right?
Yeah. What time by you?
8 o'clock.
8. Okay.
So 8 by us here is 2 your time. Okay, we got noise. Noise. Bye. Have a great day.